Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi everyone, this is Stuart Andrew Alexander, back again with another impact-making guest who has chosen to follow his natural gift of empowering people from all walks of life to find their why in life, to operate from their authentic self and align this to their businesses so they can provide solutions that add value and make a difference with their customers' desired outcomes. Now, he's a lifelong Prosperneur, which is defined as an entrepreneur where health and wealth are in equal alignment to one another to truly design a life on your terms towards true prosperity. He is also an accomplished speaker and coach, helping entrepreneurs or business owners to find or cultivate their why in business, then to maximize their revenue to optimal levels. In addition, he speaks on other topics related to developing healthier lifestyle habits and overcoming procrastination and addiction. Now, don't we all need help with that? Furthermore, he brings over 22 years of experience, ladies and gentlemen, as a global sales executive and team leader in the B2B and B2C segments to assist entrepreneurs with mindset techniques, systems, power of branding oneself, and the concept of leveraging to bring their businesses to new heights. And that's not all. His tenacious, customer-focused, and results-driven knowledge is contagious to business owners. He spent most of his career in media sales, selling aircraft, investing in businesses, and now coaching others to maximize their true potential. And I am so glad to say that he's here today, ladies and gentlemen, to talk to us about some of the problems, some of the obstacles, misconceptions, and he may even talk about some of the pitfalls surrounding the people he loves to help the most. So without any further delay, let's welcome him to the show, Prosperneur and keynote speaker, Christopher Salem. Chris, welcome to the show. Are you there, Chris?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much for the warm introduction, Stuart. Pleasure to be here.
You are so welcome. First of all, Chris, let me just ask you a quick personal question. Is it okay to say Chris or Christopher? Which one do you prefer?
Chris is fine.
Okay, great stuff. So let's jump straight in with the first question. Briefly, just describe, Chris, when you think about the people who you work, who is your perfect prospect? Who is it that you actually help?
The types of people I enjoy to help and can add value to are those people that are ready to commit to change. Change is inevitable. It's going to happen no matter if you do not want it to happen. It's a matter of how you look at it with your attitude. So people that are looking to change and are willing to make that commitment to improve to their better self, that could add more value to their clients and so forth, are the ideal people I want to work with. As a person, you can't change somebody else. But if someone's willing to make that change and make that commitment, they can work with somebody that understands the process and that will allow the coaching process to go that much smoother with that level of commitment.
Right. So when you think about those people who are ready to make or have a desire to make a change and make the appropriate commitments, what kind of obstacles are there that actually prevent them from achieving that desired outcome, Chris? Can we just speak about maybe one or two of those obstacles?
Sure, absolutely. In terms of the reason why people resist change is the fear of the unknown. It's coming out of their comfort zone. Many people want to change on some levels or desire, a better life, more business. However, it requires them to come out of their comfort zones. For many, that's very uncomfortable. And it's due to the fact it's the fear of the unknown. A lot of this is tied to many different causes or maybe one particular cause. that usually that has happened in their childhood. And a lot of times what happens is people tend to live in the effect or effects of the cause, and it's that cause, because they have not released it or come to terms with it, that binds them, so to speak, to hold them back from stepping out of their comfort zone to achieve greater success in their life.
Okay, so in terms of people not being their authentic self and operating from their true why, because that's something that you help people with, is that an obstacle that you come across? And if so, could you just go a little bit deeper into that for us, please, Chris?
Sure, absolutely. As we see, this is not for everyone, but, there are a majority of people that will tend to get into professions or gravitate towards something because when they were growing up, they were more or less led that way. A parent that could have been usually a father stating that, hey, this is the type of job that you will, a family living somebody else's dream, usually a parent, or it could be somebody that they admired in school, or they could see what other people of their peers where they're gravitating towards. They tend to feel that that's where they should be as well. So there are a lot of people that tend to be in professions or doing something in a job that they're not really operating from their authentic self. And then they wonder why they're not in a good place, or they're not comfortable, or they're not happy, because they're doing something for all the wrong reasons. So when you operate from authentic self and be able to pursue the things that you enjoy doing and where you can add true value to somebody, it is then you're operating at your authentic self, and you're able to achieve more, those things that you desire.
Okay, I'd just like to stick on this topic of the obstacles that our listeners out there face on a regular basis. Now, do keep in mind, Chris, that I am the voice of our listeners, okay? So I'm going to kind of put you on the spot and let's just stay with this topic of common obstacles. So, for example, if I am somebody who is not focused on my strengths, and we're talking about the strengths that add value, how would that prevent me from achieving my desired outcomes? What do you have to say on that particular point, Chris?
Well, and that's a great question, Stuart, because that's a common thing with the majority of people. We tend to, get involved in, we feel like we have to do everything in terms to be, and not only improve ourselves, but add value to others. So many times people get caught up doing busy work or doing things that are not productive or do not really align with their strengths. So, for instance, I'll use myself as an example. I am not an administrator. I am not somebody that likes to work with paper or push paper around on a desk, or that is not my thing. My thing is actually being in front of people, working with them one-on-one or in groups. So if I'm spending the majority of my time doing administrative work and not focused on the strengths that are my gifts, then I'm not adding value to others as well as to myself. So what I will do to that is I will subcontract that particular portion, while it is important, to somebody else that really loves to do that and does it very, very well. So the key is, for what I try to, coach with people, is to really focus more on your strengths and develop them further. The weaknesses that you have, those are areas that if you can align and then leverage that with others that are good at it, then it's okay to pay for it. Or, if you're in a corporate environment, find those people that are good at that and working together, independently to add more value to your customers.
So if I understand correctly, Chris, because I remember when I was in the corporate world, there was this culture of focusing on our weaknesses. Let's work on the weaknesses. You have to improve the areas that are weak. And over a period of time, that didn't really turn out to be the best way to move forward.
Absolutely.
And please expand on that a little bit for me in terms of for the corporate. Maybe there are some corporate listeners, people from the corporate world listening, that have adopted that culture within their organization of focusing on improving the weaknesses of their employees. What do you have to say on that point?
Well, that's a great question, Stuart. I'm glad that you brought that up, and I'm hoping that there are listeners out there that can benefit from this. That is a thing that has been very common where companies have invested a lot of money into resources and training to help to develop people's weaknesses. However, in my opinion, that is not a good use of resources and money to focus on that particular area. People have to be aligned in their corporate jobs according to their strengths. So if somebody is good with people and is good at building relationships, is a great listener, and if that person's on the inside somewhere doing something that doesn't utilize those strengths, then they're not only not adding value to themselves, but the corporation is not benefiting from that person's strengths. So they may be focusing more on building that person up somewhere else and not focusing on what they're really good at. So in addition to not only focusing on the strengths, sometimes companies do not have people aligned in the right types of situations and more or less kind of put them into kind of a cookie cutter type of format to try to develop these particular areas that they're not skilled at. So I think the key is to really do a proper assessment on individuals. Ask them deeply, what are they good at? What are they not good at? And really to focus on, based upon that assessment, where their strengths are and to provide the resources and the opportunities that they're going to allow to help these people expand their strengths further to continue to offer more value to the corporation, to their customers, and then also improving that person's self-worth further in life.
Perfect. I couldn't have put that better myself, and that's obviously because that's why you're the expert on this topic. But in layman's terms, the analogy that I can think of is my partner. She makes a really great sweet potato pie, but her apple pies absolutely suck. So I always tell her, baby, just make sweet potato pies. That's what you're good at. And I'm satisfied because I get these really nice tasting sweet potato pies, and apple pies, we'll leave that to her mother to make because her mother makes the best apple pie. So maybe that's in layman's terms, that's a good analogy to match what you just shared.
Absolutely. I can't agree more.
Okay, let's move on then, Chris. So we just spoke about some of the common obstacles, people not operating from their authentic self and from their true why. You addressed some of the common obstacle of people not focusing on their strengths instead of their weaknesses. Let's talk about some of the popular misconceptions, or maybe there are even some myths, whether they are true or not, whether they're perceived to be true or not. Let's talk about some of those that are preventing your prospects, the people you help the most, from achieving their desired outcome. So my question to you is, can you just share some of those things that you come across, some of those myths, some of those misconceptions out there, please, Chris?
Yeah, a lot of times I find people tend to, again, it comes to their upbringing, depending upon there might have been a dominant parent that was more focused on leading a child towards a certain type of vocation that was of interest to them, but not to the child. And maybe it could have been something with their religion or, with the schools they went to. So a lot of times, when people are brought up in these types of certain situations, they're led to believe that you're required to, go to school, go to college, get a job, and, work hard until you retire, that type of thing. But what we're not taught at an early age, and this is something that is a gift that when you're born, and all children have this, is that we all have dreams. Children have dreams. They're constantly dreaming. They're creative. And it's right around the time they get into school that we begin to limit the creativity. They begin to kind of be forced into a way that this is how things are done and this is what you are required to do, progressing forward until you go to college and graduate to get a job. But that gift of creativity at a very young age is something that should be continued and encouraged with children as they grow to bring that into their adulthood. And it's that creativity that, changes the world. It creates new products. It creates new solutions. It creates better lifestyles for people. It allows people to operate from their authentic self and to be truly who they are and what they're gifted at. And I believe that a lot of these myths that we're taught, growing up, like as I mentioned in these different institutions, really mislead people. And I feel as parents, you have to allow your child to be creative and encourage that, provide that child the environment to continue to expand upon that well until they reach adulthood, so they can be exactly who they are to offer more value to others, including themselves.
If I am somebody who believes, and this is whether it's true or not, but this is my perception, that there simply is not enough time in the day to be creative, to complete the tasks at work, what would you have to add to that then, Chris?
What I always feel is that, yes, we live in a very busy time. There's a lot of information. We're in the information age, obviously, and there's a lot on our plates. Our life is a lot more complex than it used to be back 30 years ago or so. However, it comes down to priorities. And when we really want something in life, and we feel that it can not only make it improve our own situations and allow us to get to our better selves, but adds value to others, we have to find the time. And that could be something where maybe perhaps it can be early in the morning. It could be early in the evening when it's before or after work. To find just a little bit of time that you can kind of relax, almost like you're meditating, to really go inward, to really look at yourself and look at what makes you happy. What are you good at? Where can you add more value? Where are your creative points? And how can you bring this out in your current situation at your job? Or perhaps it's time to leave the corporate world to go into your own business, so to speak. So the key is always being true to yourself, making it a priority, finding time on some level to tap into that, and then set a plan, a goal, in its small achievable steps to make that happen.
Okay, Chris. So looking back at what you just shared with us, you talked about how a non-nurturing environment as a child can kill our creativity and lead to the belief or the self-belief that we are not worthy of achieving whatever our desired outcome is. And you also spoke about some of the issues with time, having enough time in the day to complete tasks or even to pursue our dreams and to complete some of our creative ideas. So what about the people who just feel that, they're just not worthy? They're just not worthy as other people around them, whether that's in their private life or whether that's in a corporate environment. They just feel they're not worthy of being able to improve their lives, to even have a go at achieving their dreams. Please share some insights on that.
Sure, absolutely, Stuart. Well, as I would say to anybody that it would bring up that question, we are all worthy. We are all deserving of a better life, a good life. However, it requires that you do something on your part. It's recognizing that you have to change your mindset. It all starts inside your head, where you have to adopt a mindset that you do deserve better things in life. You have plenty to offer, and you are no different from anybody else. Nobody is more gifted than, say, somebody else. People have maybe strengths in particular areas that you're not good at, just like you have strengths in areas that other people aren't good at. So the key is to know that you are just as worthy as anybody else on this planet. And if you've been led to believe that's not the case, then you're listening to others. You have to listen to yourself and to really believe and change that mindset. And when you begin to change that mindset and to know that you do deserve the better things in life, then you have to be able to commit to action and to tap into the resources that are going to get you there. Your mindset, which are your beliefs, the words you speak, and the action that you take all have to be in alignment, synchronized, to get you towards your goal. But it all starts with the mindset. But everybody on this planet is worthy of a better life. They have to start listening to themselves, not to others that say that they're not worthy of having a better life. So it's easier said than done, but it requires that somebody really has to truly believe that and make that change inside their head.
It's often very challenging to see the bigger picture in yourself. And it takes somebody from the outside to be able to see that potential in you that you cannot see yourself. Is that your experience, Chris?
Sure. I mean, I think this is another avenue too. I tell people you actually become with the people that you surround yourself with. So if you're not saying that if you're friends with people that are not successful, that you should not continue not to be their friend. However, what I'm saying is that you have to surround yourself with people that have made this change, know that they're worthy, are committed to adding value to others and taking action towards success, and begin to be around them, because that energy begins to play off onto you, helping you to feel confident in time to start adopting a new mindset, saying that I am worthy and this is what I'm good at. This is where I can bring value to others, and begin to take the action steps necessary to get there. When your beliefs again are in synchronization with your words spoken and the actions you take, at that point is when, the universe, I like to use the universe, begins to open up new doors and begins to kind of put the right situations into place to facilitate exactly what you're looking to do. And when we have obstacles in life, a lot of times that is going to be to see, are you truly committed to what you're doing? Because if you allow the obstacle to throw you off and you quit, then you really never really truly wanted it. So it's really about, again, surround yourself with the right people. If for some reason, if you're around others that may be toxic, or they don't have that mindset and it's just not good for you. So again, tapping into the resources and the people that are going to help you to get into that right mindset.
Chris, you've spoken about some of the obstacles and some of the myths and misconceptions that are out there. Now, for the people who have a desire to change and they're actually willing to make a serious commitment to change, what are one to three pitfalls that they should be aware of while they're in the process of making that change, or even not even while they're in the process, while they're even considering making that change? What are 1 to 3 pitfalls that you can share with us today?
Well, I mean, this is common. I mean, this is like something, if you look at, people that are addicts or people that are looking to lose weight, and I'll use the weight loss example. Somebody that's looking to lose 30 pounds, I'll use that as an example. It's usually in the first month or two that are crucial for people to start beginning to establish a foundation for new, healthier habits to get them to release that weight towards better health. In the beginning, because that foundation is not set and those old habits have been basically what they've known all this time, if they don't have, usually they'll lack the discipline as well. They were required to have somebody that's going to keep them accountable, an accountability partner. Usually, a coach is really good at doing that, or it could be somebody that's a good friend that's truly dedicated to seeing them succeed. So a lot of times when people are looking to change, there are going to be these things that are going to come up because, let's say, for instance, you're in your first few days for releasing 30 pounds in the first 30 days. Something's going to happen at work. You're going to have, something's stressful. You're going to have a dinner appointment with a client that might be, require you to eat something that is not going to be good for you. So these are things that are going to test your commitment and your discipline. So the key is to be aware of that and know that these things are more likely going to happen, but you have to be able to be tied to an accountability partner. Usually a coach is best for that. But these are things that are going to be common to test you, to see how truly committed you are to change. And it's the same thing for an addict. If you're an alcoholic and you're in your first 30 days of sobriety, it's very crucial for these people to be in a 12-step program and that they're at a meeting every day. Because if they become complacent, they're going to default right back to those old habits that led to this problem. It's the same thing with the weight loss. If you become complacent, you're going to get off the wagon, you're going to start eating something that doesn't serve you, and you're going to be right back to where you are starting all over again. So accountability is really crucial in the beginning when you're looking to make a change in life.
I'm sure there are other pitfalls, Chris. Can you just share at least one more that our listeners should be aware of?
There's going to be people that are going to oppose what you're doing. Okay, that could be a spouse, that could be a family member, that could be a coworker. Any scenario could apply to this. So there are going to be some people that are going to oppose what you're doing, or maybe not happy with what you're doing. But as I tell people, again, it's even if these people are close to you and they mean a lot to you, this is about you. This is about the change that's taking place within you. It may not make this other person happy, but it's not about them. Flash forward 4 or 5 months later, when they see that you're in a better place, maybe at that point they're going to realize that they were glad that you didn't listen to them. Or if they're still opposed to you, it doesn't matter. The focus is always about you improving your situation, because when you're able to do that, you're going to be able to also empower others that may be suffering what you were going through or looking to change to make improvements in their life on some level. You're going to empower them through what you did. You're an example of what you've done. And that's what's empowering. So that's another thing, a pitfall that people are going to face, opposition from people close to them.
And that opposition, Chris, is it coming from a place of envy or a place of care or worry?
It could be any of those, Stuart. It can be depends on that person's situation, the other person's situation. They may truly care about that person and feel what they're doing is not right for them because that's their view. But again, that they're not living that other person's life; it's their life. It could also be envy, because I'll use the weight loss example. You have a spouse; they're both overweight. The wife is looking to release weight. She doesn't feel good in her skin. She's ready to make this commitment. And the male, who's also overweight, is comfortable with his wife being overweight. But the fact that she's now looking to lose weight makes him feel uncomfortable. Now it's basically putting the focus on him that I have to do something for myself too, but I'm not willing to come out of my comfort zone to do this. And how dare she do that as well? So it really could be both ways. It could be from a level of care, envy, jealousy, resentment. All these things can come into play.
It's very complex, isn't it? But when I take a 30,000-foot view and look at that, whether it's coming from a place of love or envy or any other kind of emotion, the way how I see it is whoever is preventing that person from stepping out and wanting to achieve their dreams, they're in reality, they're imposing or let's say projecting their own limitations on that other person, right?
Absolutely.
Because they cannot look into that other person's soul, and they cannot feel the spirit and the motivation they have and the belief and the desire that they have to make that commitment and to make that change. So they can only speak from their own perspective, from their own reference points. So I think what you just shared there is just so valuable. And I really just want to make a note of that. And thank you for sharing that, Chris, because I think there's a lot of listeners out there that, that really just worry about what other people think or what they say or what they do. And really they just need to, like you said, operate from an authentic place, being their authentic self.
Absolutely. The focus has to be on them. Allow these other people that may be opposing you or trying to hold you back, know that that's coming from their own limitations, and just to pray that they find their way and allow them to, do that. Empower them with what you're doing. Maybe in the beginning they're not going to see it that way. They're going to try to hold you back. but in time, they may be inspired and be in a better place to start making a change for themselves.
Right. And what quite often happens, what I see is that when that person, quote unquote, makes it, then the very people who were trying to hold them back, they're the first ones to say, hey, I knew you'd do it. Yeah, man, I'm your number one fan, right? Is that true?
Absolutely. It's very, very common. And I can tell you where that often is, you see that is often in network marketing. Network marketing tends to get a really bad rap. And however, it's one of the greatest things since sliced bread because it, not only is it a great profession, but it allows you to develop as a person. And so when you have one spouse that's really, really into it and is willing to, that's committed to for the long haul. I mean, it's going to go through all the ups and downs of this profession, and you have the other spouse that's been negative about it, threatening divorce, whatever the case may be. But when that person does become successful, they'll be the first ones to say, I knew you could do it. And hopefully at some point they're going to see the light and they're going to say, hey, I'm going to come join you. And it doesn't have to be with network marketing, it can be with anything. But I like to use that as an example because that's something that you see very common in that profession where one spouse is dedicated, working it hard, going through all the ups and downs, and the other spouse is, opposed to it. And then really changes 360 degrees later when that person has success.
Chris, for the people who are wanting to find their true light, their true why in life, and to align that with their business and add value to their customers, and they're actually willing to make that commitment, what are some of the fears that you've seen that prevent them from taking those steps?
These are just common fears. I mean, fears of insecurity, fears of not feeling worthy enough, fears of not able to feel like they are not able to offer the proper value to what their customers seek. So they put a lot of these limitations onto themselves, what they've been brought up to believe. I mean, this again stems back to childhood and to life experiences growing up. So where I tell people that are looking to make a change, they need to go back to the cause or causes that create the effects in what they do. Many people are like running on a treadmill, not able to get off because they continue to default unconsciously back to the cause that holds them back. So a lot of times it requires a lot of questions, going back and really digging deep to find out what those causes are that hold them back and to almost relive it. And then at that point to come to terms with it and then release it and to know that this does not define who you are. This was an experience in life that perhaps was negative, and it is a part of you, but doesn't not define you. You have the ability to change, to reprogram your mindset that you are worthy enough to achieve the goals that you've set forth that could add value to not only yourself, but to others and the company if you're working for a company. So a lot of times we have to go back to the cause that creates the effect and to release that.
Well, Chris, I want a shortcut. I don't want to spend time looking back into my past. I'm working with a great company. They've got a great plan, best products out there, great distribution. We're opening up three different countries in the next 6 months. I don't want to spend time, looking at myself. I've got all of these products and all of these techniques and software to help me out. Do I really need to do that to enable or to give me the best chance of succeeding? Is it really important, all of this mindset stuff? I
really feel that it is, Stuart. And there are people that will have, short-term success if they continue, if they can kind of ride the coattails of a great product and company culture for a certain period of time. But really, it starts to come back to them. If they are not operating from their authentic self and truly not fulfilling all the strengths that they can provide and the value that they can provide, then at some point they're going to reach a plateau. And a lot of times you find when people jump around from job to job or career to career, it's usually because somebody is avoiding the cause. They consciously, on some level, know what the cause is, but many people operate unconsciously. They almost like the cause is like they don't even realize what it is until you ask questions. But I think that you can get away with that for a short term, but until you really break the chains and releasing those causes that create the effects that hold you back, not only personally, but also in your business, you're never going to get to the highest level that you're capable of getting to without doing that, my opinion.
You've shared a lot of information, and there might be a little bit of crossover in your answer to the next question, but I still want to just put it out there for you and for the listeners. So why would, in spite of everything what you've shared today, why would somebody want to make a change if they're willing to make a commitment? Why would they even want to make a change so that they can achieve whatever desired outcome they have in mind? Why would they want to do that?
Well, that's a good question as well. I mean, life is a choice, okay? But change is inevitable. It's going to happen, as I mentioned, no matter what. So things happen, especially in work. There could be a change in an industry that changes the whole, direction of how a company markets to their customers. You see people displaced all the time. So basically, change is going to happen. So I always tell people that if you're comfortable where you are and you're happy, then fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But majority of people at some point feel they need a change, but they just don't know how to go about it. They're afraid to take the steps to come out of their comfort zone to do it. And they look for shortcuts. They look for the easy way, the path of least resistance to get in there. The unfortunate thing is there is no easy way. The only way is to begin. It's a process, because success is what you become. It's not the destination. You have to develop that mindset. It all starts inside the mind to make that change and begin to, almost have the outcome that it's already happened, and begin to start speaking the words into existence of what you desire and what you could add value to others. And then the action that comes along with that, doing the necessary steps and incorporating the disciplines necessary to get you there. So, again, it comes back to choice. People are either going to accept where they are, and if they're happy, stay there. But life is going to change no matter what. So, and at some level, it's going to affect that person's current situation. So they have the choice to either deal with it and be comfortably uncomfortable with it, or come out of their comfort zone to make changes that are going to improve their situation even more before that change in life happens. So I think it really comes down to the person. It's the person's choice.
But why do we as humans, Chris, have this innate resistance to change? Why so much resistance?
Well, I feel, again, it's how we're brought up to what to believe. We're brought up, by the time we reach 5 years old, we're taught to be afraid. We're taught to fear things, not to take chances. There are people out there that are not fearful, that do take chances. These are the people that are your early adopters. These are the people that are successful. These are the people that are, that take chances in life. So what people have to know is they need to tap back into that creativity, to know that there's nothing to worry in life. When you really focus on being your true self and knowing that you're doing something good for others, that while there may be some periods of uncomfortability, that things look like things are not going to work out, or am I going to be able to pay the bills next month? But by really truly believing what you're doing, things will all work out, and even better in the long run. But I feel that, again, it's what we've been taught growing up, that, we have to take the conservative approach, do this, go to school, get a job, and do this. And it just really limits those people's strengths and capabilities, what they can offer even more value to others. And they never really fulfill their true potential.
So, Chris, we're coming very soon to the end of the show. Now, without actually sharing how people can get in touch with you, because I'm going to ask you that at the very end, could you just go into what is your solution? I mean, what got you started, and what inspired you to help the people who you actually help today? And what is your solution to it? Does it have a name? Is it a system? Is it a program? Maybe it's not a one-size-fits-all, but can you just share a little bit of information about that?
Absolutely. I mean, my solution is I believe everybody deserves prosperity in life. Everybody deserves to have a life on their terms, and whatever that may be. So again, it's not defined necessarily by wealth or how much money you have, but, the freedom to live a life on your terms, to be who you really are and to do the things that you enjoy, to add value to others. So what I do is I will work with companies, with their employees, or I'll work with individuals one-on-one, and this can be either from a personal or from a business perspective, where we dig back, right back to their childhood and look at, when they were young, what did they love to do? What were some of the creative things that they thought about? And where at some point did that change? And when did it, or in this case, stopped? And to where they are today and why they're doing what they're doing? And where can we go, look back at the causes that create the effects that have kept them stuck in where they are. So it's a lot of fact finding, digging back. In some cases, some of these people are unconscious of this. And I'll give you an example. I had a guy, and again, this is from a personal perspective. He was looking to release some weight, and he had been on a diet program on and off for 6 years. He would lose a little weight, would come back on. It was just a vicious cycle. He spent a lot of money, he didn't go anywhere. We were talking, and I was asking a lot of questions, and in passing, he just brought up the fact that, I remember when I was a kid, my mom used to tell us, you need to eat all the food on your plate. I've spent a lot of money on this. Kids in Africa are starving, and I don't have much money, and so I'm buying this food and I want to make sure you kids eat it. Now, something like that is what a lot of parents would say to their kids. And to some kids, that would be no big deal. When they grow up, it would have no adverse effects on them. However, this person didn't feel it had any effect on him, but it did. He didn't realize it until we started digging deeper. So what ended up happening to this person as he got into adulthood, not only would he clear his plate for each meal, but he would have a second portion to make sure mom was happy, that I didn't disappoint mom. And he began to do these other things in life with his employers to make sure that I didn't want to disappoint my employer or my boss. And he began to just not be creative. He was basically doing things just to make people happy, to make sure that they weren't angry at him or unhappy with him. But he wasn't really adding value. He was just doing the things that were appealing to these people on a personal level, but from a business perspective as well, wasn't operating at his peak efficiency. So we were able to look at that cause, go back. He was able to release it, and then in over a 60 to a 90-day period, was able to adopt a new mindset towards the way he ate, and to look at healthier choices. So he did release the weight, which he is today at a much better weight, better health, and begin to look at not looking to people please, but to do things that better himself, that also are, improve his job function, that are going to, obviously make things more productive at his employer and add more value. So it was kind of like it did two things here. It was first we were talking about his weight, but it kind of led into the business end too. So this cause and effect stuff can lead into all areas of life, which hold you back. And this person was totally unconscious to it. He didn't even realize this was even bothering him. So that's what I basically do with people. And we have to get to the root of the cause that creates the effects that hold them back.
Chris, I love speaking with people like you. People who have decided just to follow their true path, their natural gift. Because you can just listening to you and feeling the passion in your voice and the care you have for the people that you help, and just listening to that that one example, that one case study just proves to me what a educator you are and what a advocate you are for your client's success. And that's somebody who I just love to talk with. I feel I could just sit here all day and talk and just listen to you talk about your experiences, Chris. You're somebody who empowers people from all walks of life to find their why in life, to operate from their authentic self so they can align this to their businesses and provide solutions that add value and make a difference with their customers' desired outcomes. And I think it's commendable what you do. However, this show, of course, is for our listeners. And if there are any listeners out there, whether on an individual basis, or maybe it's somebody within a HR department, and they're looking for somebody like yourself to come in and address some of those problems and some of those obstacles, the misconceptions, the myths, the pitfalls that you so eloquently shared with us today, Chris, how would they be able to connect with you? Where would they find you, Chris?
The best way to contact me would be, and they can go to my website, www.Christopher, with a C, Salem, SALEM.com, all one word. They could also reach me direct in the United States at 203-733-8469, or email at chris@ChristopherSalem.com. And I'd be more than happy to provide a free consultation, initial call, so to speak, to assess a particular situation, issue, bottleneck, either in a corporation or a person's personal life, to see what we could do to help you.
Perfect. Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. You've shared a lot of great information that's going to be really useful for anybody tuning into this. Before you go, Chris, any final thoughts, please?
Well, my final thought would be just to anybody that is listening is to really know that you are all worthy in life. We're all on an equal playing field. Some people have certain disadvantages over others. Others have more advantages over others. However, we all have our own strengths and weaknesses, and you all deserve a better life. Just know that you do, and to reach out to people that can help you, keep you accountable, to get you into the right direction to achieve a life that you deserve to have. And just to know that you truly can have it if you truly want it.
Thank you so much, Chris, and thank you to anybody who's listening out there. This has been yours truly, Stuart Andrew Alexander. Take care, and we'll talk real soon.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.